Good morning and welcome to the Future Proof Leader. I'm Jessica Rapach, CEO of Twin Legacy Solutions. Today, I am so honored to have Marshall Kregg. He's the founder and CEO of Leviathan International. Today, we're talking cybersecurity. This is an interesting topic in the industry today because we're not only talking about cybersecurity, we're talking cybersecurity and AI. So, Marshall, thanks for coming on today. I'd like to open the floor just by having you tell the audience members just who you are, what your company does, what your company is, and what you do.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for having me. Yes, I'm Marshall Kregg. I'm the founder and CEO of Leviathan International. We use machine learning models to put a dollar amount to cybersecurity risk. What that means is it takes our algorithms and it identifies exactly where each individual organization will have more of those material breaches, as well as optimize cybersecurity spend throughout their organizations.
Amazing. That sounds complex. I love it. So let's dive right into the questions. The first one I have for you is, what's the biggest misconception leaders have about AI and cybersecurity today?
Oh man, so cybersecurity has been so big for a few years, and AI has been around for a very long time. But I think both of those have really started to have more of a cultural consciousness now. So cybersecurity is this is something that we need to invest in. Uh, there's hacks, there's insider threats, everything that goes along with it. And then AI is like, oh, we have to stay on top of the cutting edge. So both of those, there's so many different aspects of both of those two different domains as well. So cryptography being part of cybersecurity, firewalls and tools, again, insider threat, things like that. All of those have different specialties. Myself, I work in cybersecurity risk. That's a very different aspect than cyber threat hunting. AI is very different as well. Many of us just don't think about machine learning modeling at this point in time, but there's a slew of different another growing, I don't want to call them buzzwords, but agentic AI coming and things of that sort. But machine learning models have been around forever, and it's really taking those algorithms that how learn patterns in order to make predictions. And that's really what we're trying to get into. Does that make sense?
I won't tell you anything you said makes sense because I don't understand cybersecurity as much as I want to.
So the misconceptions I would say from many organizations is that it's so vast and it's so big. It's that you can't say, I want to buy one AI, or I want to I need to buy one cybersecurity, or it's we need cybersecurity, we need artificial intelligence. It's if you go to a hardware store, what kind of screw do you need? It's really, you need to be a lot more pinpoint and accurate when you start thinking about these tools.
So it sounds to me what you're saying is that cybersecurity and you deal with, there's so many different nuances within cybersecurity that you really just can't attack it from one angle. You have to look at it as a holistic picture, correct?
Have to, I think, is a little bit of a stronger word, but I think it's definitely important for all leaders. More conversations that I have is how those who aren't very technical have no idea what cybersecurity is, but it's really a responsibility for everybody.
Agreed. Yep. So how will AI change the nature of cyber threats over the next 3 to 5 years?
It's already doing that. So it increases the speed of ability to exploit, and 0 days. 0 days are new exploits that come out. So that's already happening. But today it's the really utilizing AI to stop AI threats is a big thing that's happening today as well. And it's a really interesting, we can go in a deeper dive into some of those things that are going on too. So one of the interesting things that I'm seeing is having fully automated security operations centers. So having large language models, multiple large language models monitor traffic that comes through a network, and then having the documentation that comes through. That's a really interesting aspect where you have a person that is looking at a machine learning model or an artificial intelligence that is really doing most of the tier one and tier two aspects of cybersecurity from a security operations point of view. Other things are what we're trying to do at Leviathan International using machine learning models to identify gaps in security. So prior military. So a lot of terminology I use for many of the others is taking military terms and putting it into cybersecurity. It's how I got into it in the first place. Is it was an easy transition. So setting up a perimeter, that's your firewall, intersecting fields of fire. Those are the tools and techniques to ensure that things are being worked through. All of these things are the same. So it's like two parts. Security operations, one part counterintelligence. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your service. That's cool.
Oh,
What branch were you in?
I was Army.
Nice. Nice. You were boots on the deck. Got
Yeah.
it. And communications, I assume, MOS?
No, I was psychological operations.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have to talk more about that. That could be a whole nother podcast, I'm sure. But
No.
well, what's the biggest mistake that you're urging companies to avoid right now?
I think everyone is trying to do everything at once in nothing at all at the same time. It's the ideal and risk on a day-to-day basis. So when you look at from an organizational perspective, AI is coming and we need to implement it. That's not the right idea. You want to ensure that you have a governance around it. So that's by nature, artificial intelligence is going to increase the risk to your environment. And there's so many things that we do. We're currently utilizing our technologies today in order to communicate. A cyber threat could happen for something like that, depending on the size and scope of an organization. So having an AI in there that just exacerbates that risk, that's something that can definitely happen. And then the other side of that is that um, as we were talking earlier, is what kind of artificial intelligence are you going to implement? Is if you're not going to, our employees are going to do it anyway, and that gets into your we call it shadow IT or shadow AI is that you'll have unapproved technologies in your network that open up additional threats. So there'll be those are different exploits that can be utilized there. So it's a give and take of really understanding which side of the house you want to get to. So it's don't move too fast and don't move too slow.
Right. So I think you've hit it spot on. Every CEO and founder that's not already implementing some AI
Yeah.
is scrambling to try to figure out what the best fit is. So I always think about the security risk within that, right? So how do they mitigate that? So where do you start? Where would be step one? Like if you're not wanting to do everything at once,
Yeah.
what is step one?
Fantastic question. So step one is you have to think about AI in two different ways. So one is you're trying to ultimately you want to enhance your workforce with artificial intelligence. And that's the first question you want to ask. Where do I see the biggest bottleneck that I can automate? From there, you'll be able to identify what kind of AI tools I need to in order to utilize in order to make that bottleneck a lot less. Then from there, I'll be able to implement from there. And that gets into governance, and that's how do we implement it, and then how do we use it, and how do we make sure that it's being used properly? How do we prevent it being used improperly? And
Yeah.
then from there, it's really just change management. And that's the biggest issue that every organization has for any kind of changes that go through there. So it's more things that it's you're always coming back to the same problems.
Absolutely. Now, so this is another huge, huge thing I get on the podcast too, is the governance, right? We talked about policies. So
Yep.
yes, I love what you said. Look at what your processes. I would tell somebody as a project manager, look at your processes, make sure they are great, they
Mhm.
are stable, they are efficient,
Mhm.
and then pick the tool that you think is going to automate the biggest job for you so you can redirect your resources
Mhm.
essentially or enhance your operations. But then everybody's asking, well, then what does an AI policy look like, right? We know our employees are using AI, whether
Mhm.
we like it or not, or whether we know it or not.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, that's a security risk in itself.
Yep.
So What does a secure AI policy look like in a real business? A productive one, at least.
So, a secure AI policy that's successful in business that I've seen thus far really gets to the core of just your security operations. So, that is what is allowed inside of the network and how do you monitor that? And that is part of that policy because ultimately your policy has to revolve around how do you make it so your employees don't mistakenly make a mistake that opens you up to risk. So it's not the malicious aspect, it's really just the ignorance aspect. So everyone needs to understand how and what to use this and when and why. And
Okay.
that's where policy really comes into play is make it easy for people to use, make it easy for people to not mess up.
That sounds logical to me.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about how companies are reaching out to you, right?
Yeah.
So are they coming to you because they've made the oops and they've had the cybersecurity or threats and
Mhm.
they don't know what to do and kind of they try to back out of it? Are they coming to you proactively saying, listen, AI's here. I'm worried
Mhm.
about the security of it. I have some forms of cybersecurity for my IT networks, but now with AI, I don't feel as protected. Where are they coming at? Where are they at in the industry right now?
Right now, our primary customers are going to be in the defense space. So it really comes from the compliance side of the house.
Okay.
So the big thing is when you're working with a lot of different organizations, you don't want to be the weak link when it comes to your security posture. And that's where most of our customers are coming in. It's identifying this as a risk for a compliance side, make sure that we are compliant. What I tell all of our customers is compliance isn't security. You can have the best tools to prevent something from happening. If they're not implemented properly, they're just as risky as they were beforehand. So now you just got an expensive oopsie instead of a, 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 a normal oopsie. So those are really where our customer base is really based in. So they come to us for really the compliance side. And then we take that a step further. It's like, okay, you're getting the compliance, great. That's needed, especially when you're working with partners. It establishes that you have a trustworthiness and everything that comes along with it. Now let's work on the security aspect. There are things that I can do inexpensively that will limit any kind of negative impact to my business. And that's the next phase of the security operations that you want to identify is how are you implementing controls to keep your network and your information safe and secure while not preventing work from being done. So there's a lot of things that go on. So multi-factor authentication slows down just logging in. There people have been sharing passwords until the days. So having a password manager that you never keep track of. Single sign-on is another way to speed these processes up, but that gets into different aspects too. So you want to ensure that you're implementing these things properly and efficiently that um, people that are doing the work aren't going to try to cut those corners.
And what does that relationship look like with you and the companies you work with? Is it you come in, you do an analysis or an audit of, like, I'm a business owner, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I'm afraid of cyber risks as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, we all
Yeah.
should be, right?
Mhm.
There's compliance, like you said, in the government and defense space. They definitely have a better handle
Yep.
on it. They have a huge department
Mhm.
looking over that. But for businesses that are on the smaller mid scale,
Yeah.
you come in, what if they already have like, IT teams and stuff? How do you integrate and work with those teams to just make sure? Is there an auditing process or like what would you recommend?
Great question. So our machine learning model takes a snapshot of your network, identifies some of those gaps, and gives you recommendations. That's really the core of where that gets into. They'll put a dollar amount. So this is what you're expected to spend. This is why. That's really what our tool is built to do.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I like that a lot. So that's the initial step. They'll come
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
take a
Mhm.
snapshot of any system. Are you able to integrate with any systems that people are using nowadays?
We're continuing to grow that as well. Many of the things that we're utilizing are APIs, so it'll gather logs from system scanners. If you have a CMDB, that is configuration management database. Sorry, like too
Oh, you're
many
totally fine.
acronyms. Having those things already implemented, that's the first start. So having where are your technical assets, where are they located, what are those IP addresses? It'll be able to ingest that, identify those gaps of are you having those things protected? Do you have a VPN on the outside of that? Do you have firewalls that are properly configured? Are your tools up to date from the security aspect that your SIM systems are coming through? All of that stuff. So identify those. What are the vulnerabilities? And then what's the likelihood of those things being breached? And then what is that impact going to be? Identifying what your personal risk threshold is. And then from a business perspective, you're able to choose whether that's something to a risk to accept or mitigate or whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
love that. What do you say to the CEOs that are like, well, I have IT systems. They probably have security, cybersecurity mitigations within them. Is it still a good idea to go ahead and get a check across the board?
So publicly traded companies have requirements in order to do that on a regular basis. We're moving into a world that continuous monitoring is something that is standard across the board. So with those things that are moving towards that direction, it's not enough to say, um, I probably have. You need to verify that. And again, that gets into we're so interconnected these days that because the interconnectivity, you have to be able to verify, an outsider has to be able to verify in order to do business as well. Say, I don't want to be the weak link to say, I've been breached, and because I've been breached, now you've been breached, even though you're doing everything the right way. So
Right.
those are the additional aspects when it comes to improving cybersecurity posture. It's that we're not trying to prevent everything, we're trying to prevent something major from happening. And then from there, we want to ensure that we're optimized across the board, that I can do this as cheaply as possible. So I'm able to maneuver and be as agile as possible to continue to bring in revenue. Last thing I want to do is lose value to my business by having a security incident. I also don't want my security posture to affect my business processes to an extent that I can't maneuver past my competitors as well. It's a very it's a balancing act. That's why CISOs are paid what they are.
When you come in, I know you do the analysis. You talked about monitoring and how that important that is to have an ongoing monitoring process. Does your company see a lot of people actually hiring you to continue on after that assessment to monitor and they're being proactive about it? Or are people just calling you saying, hey, do an assessment of my system, tell me where I need to improve, fix it for me, and that's it?
So it depends. A lot of our customers come in saying that they need CMMC certification. So the Department of Defense or Department of War has a mandate that goes in at the end of this year in November.
Oh, nice.
That all federal contracts that have a contract with Department of Defense and their subcontractors need to be uh, CMC level 2 compliant. So that is a race to have a certification to get there. So part of that is the continuous monitoring to say, all right, I'm monitoring these risks, I'm monitoring these vulnerabilities. I have my plan of actions and milestones to correct all of these things in place. And the thing about cybersecurity, you can have something that is 100% secure today and 0% secure tomorrow. So that's where the continuous monitoring comes in to ensure that you're being proactive to increase that security posture throughout the time that you are working with the Department of Defense. That's going to be pushed out to the rest of the federal agencies as well.
So if you're a company that's working on defense contracts, you have until November, is that what you said,
Yep.
to figure this out? And
Yeah.
okay, So you're probably a very busy man,
A little
Marshall.
bit.
I mean, yeah, that's, well, I didn't even hear that. But anyway, we don't do defense contracts, but worked in the department,
Yeah.
intelligence agency, and we
Mm.
had a lot of our own internal compliance measures, but you got to love those government compliance, the new ones that come out fast, hard, and they hit hard, and you don't want to wait on
Absolutely.
those.
Absolutely. It's been a crazy race right now. There's what I think the last thing I saw was about 200,000 organizations trying to get CMMC compliant by the end of the year.
Wow. Okay, well, we're gonna have to plug where they can find you at the end of this. Awesome. Well, okay, last questions. I know I bugged Jill out today, but what should companies be preparing for now that most aren't even thinking about yet?
Oh, such a great question. I try so that's a great question, but I don't know if you can't protect everything. And there's going to be changes to technology forever. So it's at this point, I'm preparing every organization to embrace change. And that is really getting down to the nuts and bolts is that there's going to be so many different jumps in technology over the next 5 years that you're going to want to at least be open-minded to most of it to understand something that is this going to help or hurt my organization? So that's staying current or having somebody in the organization that is staying current on new technologies and new risks. Those things are going to be so important. And that's not outsourcing that. That is something in-house because you want to ensure that you have your protection inside of your house. You're not going to get the peace of mind that you're going to want, and you have that when you have that second when you have that breach.
Change management has been a reoccurring theme on the podcast from CEOs and directors,
Right.
just the difficulties behind just the inability for an organization sometimes to adjust.
Mhm,
And especially on the tech side, it's really hard. And
mhm,
especially when you're having a good technician, a good IT consultant that comes in, they're going to assess your processes, and those might need to change as well. But
yeah.
I love the idea of just having a change management POC on staff that's constantly embracing and preparing for change in the organization. If you're not changing, you're not going to be growing. It's going to be very difficult in this market today. So I think you're dead on. So now that we've learned all this insight, and I'm sure a lot of people, thanks for the update on the government compliance. I'm sure a lot of people are still kind of struggling with trying to figure this out. So where can they find you if it sounds like you have the answer to help them? So where can we find you if they want to get a hold of you to start working on this now rather than wait?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a website. It's leviathanintl.com. You can find us there, fill out a form, it'll go directly to our inbox, and we'll be able to get in touch with you. We can prepare you for CMMC. We can prepare you for other kinds of audits, but really, we're there to ensure that you're looking at security from a holistic perspective. So we don't want you to spend too much. We want to ensure that you are understanding your network at a base level to ensure that it's not a hundred different tools that are working independently. The entire network is working together, and with the basis of being able to continue your business processes as well as information flow from one person to another safely and securely.
And just to be clear, Marshall, so you don't only work with federal
No,
contractors
not
and
at all.
businesses. Okay, so you
Yeah,
you work with any company
yeah.
that's looking to improve their cyber threat standpoint, right?
Exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, there's if you're looking for compliance, there's HIPAA compliance that goes through there,
Mm.
SOC 2, ISO 27001, other aspects. We're utilizing the models to do some other cool things. If you think that there's a risk quantification aspect that sounds interesting, it's like how does the dollar amount change from something like that? Reach out. Definitely, I'm on LinkedIn. Marshall Kregg, Kregg. Send me an email, and I'll be able to get through you for that. We also have a LinkedIn for Leviathan International as well.
Great. Okay. So pretty much anybody should be contacting you to just make sure we're compliant. And it sounds like you are very passionate about making sure that you're not overcharging companies to put them into compliance, or at least getting an assessment to assess where they're at, right?
It's always good to have an assessment and understand where you are and have a second opinion if you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Marshall, thank you so much for your time. Very smart guy, obviously. You know what you're doing. Appreciate what you're doing for defense contractors and for all the companies, making sure we're all safe out there. So, to listeners, thanks for listening in to the Future Proof Leader podcast. If you're trying to future proof your company, you should definitely be looking into cybersecurity. So, until next time, thanks for listening in. Bye, Marshall.
Have a good one.